Have you ever started something with full energy? Maybe a new fitness goal, a business idea, or a personal project. But after a few days or weeks, the fire burned out. You felt stuck, drained, and wondered, why can't I stay motivated? The truth is, most people think motivation is about hype, energy, or mood. But what if I told you that there's one rule that can change everything? The single biggest factor that decides whether you'll quit or keep going? In this video, I'm going to reveal the number one rule for staying motivated, and by the end, you'll know exactly how to keep moving forward even when you don't feel like it. You know, one of the biggest reasons why people lose motivation isn't because they're lazy, and it's not even because they don't have enough energy or discipline. The real problem is that most people don't have absolute clarity on why they're redoing what they're redoing. Think about it. How many times have you set a goal? Maybe to get in shape, start a business, or improve your life in some way, but just a few weeks later, that spark is gone. It's not that you can't do it. It's that you don't have a clear reason that's strong enough to carry you through the days when things get tough. Motivation, at its core, is deeply connected to your purpose. And when I say purpose, I don't mean some big philosophical life mission, although that can be powerful. What I mean is a crystal clear understanding of why you want this specific thing in your life. Without that clarity, you'll always find yourself getting distracted, doubting yourself, or quitting altogether. Imagine this. Two people go to the gym. One of them is there because they think, well, I guess I should exercise. Everyone else is doing it, and it might be good for me. The other person walks in with the thought, I want to live long enough to play with my grandkids. I want to feel strong, confident, and alive every single day. Which of these two people do you think will still be showing up 6 months later? That's the power of clarity. When your why is weak, your motivation disappears. But when your why is strong, it becomes unshakable. Clarity of purpose gives your brain something to hold on to when your body doesn't feel like moving. It gives you a reason to push through on those mornings when you'd rather stay in bed, or on those nights when you feel like giving up. Most people think motivation comes from watching a video, listening to a song, or hearing a speech, and yes, those things can give you a short burst of energy. But the kind of motivation that lasts, the kind that stays with you even when you're tired, frustrated, or overwhelmed, comes only from being crystal clear about why you're doing what you're doing. And here's the truth, clarity doesn't just appear out of nowhere. You have to sit down and create it for yourself. You have to ask the hard questions. Why do I really want this? What is driving me deep inside? What will my life look like if I achieve this? And just as importantly, what will my life look like if I don't? When you can answer those questions with brutal honesty, you give yourself a source of motivation that can't be shaken by setbacks or failures. Let me give you another example. Think about students preparing for exams. One student studies because, well, they have to. It's expected. The other student studies because they have a vision of becoming a doctor, saving lives, and making their family proud. Who do you think is going to pull those late nights and keep pushing even when it's hard? The one with clarity. The one who knows why. That's the beauty of clarity. It transforms your effort into passion. It makes even the smallest action meaningful because now it's tied to something bigger than the action itself. Suddenly, going for a run isn't just exercise, it's part of becoming the person you've always wanted to be. Reading that book isn't just about pages, it's about building the skills that will create your dream life. Every small step becomes a reminder of the larger purpose. And here's the thing, without clarity, even the biggest goal feels empty. You might tell yourself, I want to be rich, I want to be successful, I want to be famous. But if you can't answer the question of why does that matter to you? What will it give you? What will it mean for your life? You'll find yourself burning out halfway through. That's why so many people quit on their dreams. It's not because they couldn't do it. It's because they never gave themselves a powerful reason to do it in the first place. Now, some of you might be thinking, but I don't know my purpose yet. I don't know my why. And that's okay. The truth is, clarity comes from exploration. It comes from sitting with yourself and being honest about what you want. Not what society wants, not what your parents want, not what your friends expect, but what you really want for your life. And sometimes it's not even about finding the perfect answer right away. It's about choosing a direction that feels right and letting that clarity grow as you move forward. Because clarity isn't just about motivation, it's about identity. When you know your why, you stop saying, I want to do this, and you start saying, this is who I am. And when it becomes who you are, motivation is no longer something you chase. It becomes something that flows naturally out of you every single day. Here's something that most people get wrong about motivation. They think it's about doing things with massive energy, big bursts of passion, or sudden waves of inspiration. They believe that if they don't feel fired up, then they can't move forward. But the truth is, the people who actually succeed in life are not the ones who rely on intensity. They're the ones who master consistency. Because consistency will always beat intensity in the long run. Think about this for a second. How many times have you felt super inspired, maybe after watching a motivational video or hearing a powerful speech, and you told yourself, that's it, I'm going to change my life starting today? You woke up the next morning, maybe you worked out harder than ever before. Maybe you sat at your desk and studied for hours, maybe you started writing your goals with complete focus. That's intensity. But then, what happens 2 days later? The energy fades, the excitement disappears, and suddenly it feels impossible to keep going. You miss a day, then 2, then a week, and before you know it, the goal is gone. Now compare that with someone who does just a little every day. They might not go crazy in the gym, but they show up consistently. They might not study for 12 hours straight, but they study 2 hours every day without fail. They might not create the perfect business plan overnight, but they keep working on it one step at a time. At first, it doesn't look impressive. At first, it looks slow. But give it 3 months, 6 months, a year, and suddenly that person has transformed their life while the person who relied only on bursts of intensity has burned out and quit. This is the secret most people don't want to hear. Success is not built in one day of massive action. It's built in small, consistent steps taken again and again, even when you don't feel like it. And here's the beauty of consistency: it compounds. Every small action you take, no matter how tiny, stacks on top of the one before it. Over time, it creates momentum. And momentum is far more powerful than motivation. Because once you've built momentum, you no longer have to push yourself as hard. The habits carry you. The routine carries you. The results start showing, and those results give you even more energy to keep going. Let me give you a real-life example. Imagine 2 people deciding to run a marathon. The first person feels pumped and decides to run 10 miles on the very first day. They push their body hard, they sweat, they feel proud, but the next day, their body is sore, they're exhausted, and they don't run again for weeks. The second person? They just start with 1 mile every day. It doesn't look like much. It doesn't even feel impressive. But they keep going, 1 mile, then 2, then 3. And within a few months, they're running consistently, without pain, without burnout, and they actually finish the marathon. Who wins? The consistent one. Always. Consistency is also what separates amateurs from professionals. Amateurs wait until they feel like it. They wait for motivation. They wait for inspiration. Professionals show up whether they feel like it or not. And that's why they win. Because consistency is not about how you feel in the moment, it's about committing to the process no matter what. And the more consistent you become, the less you even have to think about motivation, because your habits take over. Another way to look at it is this: intensity is emotional, but consistency is logical. Intensity depends on your mood. Consistency depends on your decision. You can't control how motivated you'll feel tomorrow, but you can control whether you show up. And the more you show up, the less you rely on emotions to guide you. You start to reprogram your brain, you start to trust yourself. And that trust builds confidence, which in turn fuels even more consistency. And here's something powerful: consistency creates identity. Every time you follow through, even in the smallest way, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. You might not see the change right away, but your brain is noticing. You're proving to yourself, I'm the kind of person who shows up. I'm the kind of person who follows through. And once your identity shifts, once you start to see yourself as consistent, reliable, disciplined, then motivation is no longer a battle. You become the kind of person who doesn't quit. Now, some people might say, but consistency is boring. I want excitement, I want passion. And yes, intensity feels exciting in the beginning, but it fades quickly. Consistency might feel boring at times, but it creates lasting change. It's like water dripping on a stone. One drop doesn't do anything, but drop after drop after drop, it carves a hole right through solid rock. That's what consistency does. It shapes you in ways that intensity never could. And if you look at the most successful people in the world, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, they're not relying on sudden bursts of energy. They're relying on daily practices, daily rituals, daily habits that they repeat again and again. They show up even when it's not glamorous, even when no one is watching, even when it feels like nothing is changing. Because they understand that success doesn't come from what you do once in a while, it comes from what you do every single day. Here's a truth most people underestimate. Your environment has more control over your motivation than your willpower ever will. You can have the strongest goals, the clearest purpose, and even a plan in place, but if your environment doesn't support it, you'll constantly feel like you're fighting an uphill battle. Motivation is not just about what's happening inside of you, it's also about what's happening around you. Think about it. If you're trying to eat healthy, but your kitchen is full of junk food, how long do you think you'll last before you give in? If you're trying to focus on studying or building a business, but your phone is buzzing with constant notifications and your friends are always distracting you, how much progress can you really make? On the other hand, if you walk into a clean, organized space where everything reminds you of your goals, suddenly staying focused becomes so much easier. That's not because you magically became more disciplined overnight. It's because your environment is shaping your behavior. Human beings are naturally influenced by what surrounds them. It's the reason why people who grow up in athletic families often stay active, why people who are surrounded by entrepreneurs often start businesses, and why people who hang around negative friends often end up adopting the same habits. Motivation is contagious. Energy is contagious. And your environment is constantly either pulling you forward or pulling you back. Now, let me give you a picture of how this works. Imagine two people who both want to write a book. One person sets up a quiet workspace with a comfortable chair, no distractions, and a vision board of their goals right in front of them. They keep their phone in another room, and they set a specific time each day to sit down and write. The other person, with the same dream, sits on the couch with the TV on, their phone in hand, and no plan. Which one do you think will make progress? The one who created the environment for success. It's not that the second person doesn't care enough, it's that they haven't aligned their environment with their intentions. And this applies to every single area of life. If you want to get healthier, don't just rely on willpower, change your environment. Put healthy food where you can see it. Lay out your workout clothes the night before. If you want to stay productive, don't just rely on motivation, change your environment. Remove distractions, surround yourself with people who are working hard, set up your space so it inspires focus. Your environment should act like a partner in your success, not an enemy. But here's something even more important. Your environment isn't just physical, it's also the people around you. Jim Rohn once said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with," and he was right. If you surround yourself with people who are constantly complaining, constantly making excuses, constantly playing small, you will eventually mirror those behaviors. But if you surround yourself with people who are ambitious, positive, and determined, that energy will rub off on you. It's impossible not to be influenced by the mindset of the people closest to you. Ask yourself honestly, are the people around you fueling your growth, or are they draining it? Because no matter how motivated you are in the moment, if you're in an environment that pulls you backward, you will eventually slow down. That's why so many people feel stuck, not because they lack talent or drive, but because they're stuck in environments that don't match their vision. The good news is, you have the power to change this. You might not be able to completely control everything around you, but you can always make small adjustments. You can choose to spend less time with negative influences and more time around people who inspire you. You can choose to redesign your space so it supports your goals instead of sabotaging them. You can choose to limit the noise and create conditions where motivation, dose, and tea have to be forced. It just flows naturally. And here's the part most people don't realize. When your environment is right, you don't need as much motivation because the path of least resistance leads toward your goals. If your environment is wrong, you need superhuman willpower every day just to make the right choice. But if your environment is right, the right choice becomes the easy choice. That's the secret. That SY environment shapes motivation. It either sets you up to succeed or sets you up to fail before you even begin. Think of it like a seed. Even the strongest seed won't grow if it's planted in the wrong soil, but give it sunlight, water, and fertile ground, and it will flourish almost effortlessly. You are the same way. Your goals are seeds, but your environment is the soil. If you plant yourself in negativity, in distraction, in chaos, don't be surprised when your motivation dies. But if you create an environment of focus, positivity, and support, your motivation will grow naturally, because it has no other choice. So when you look at everything we've talked about today, it all comes down to this motivation ISN, something you can rely on to magically appear every morning. It's not about waiting for the perfect mood or hoping for a burst of inspiration. Real motivation is built from the inside out and reinforced by the choices you make every single day. Clarity of purpose gives you the fuel, it's your why, the reason you keep pushing even when things get hard. Consistency gives you the engine, it's what keeps you moving forward, step by step, long after the initial excitement is gone. And your environment gives you the road, it either clears the way for you to succeed or throws obstacles in your path. Put all three together, and you have the formula for staying motivated not just today, not just this week, but for the rest of your life. The number one rule for staying motivated is simple but life-changing. Always stay connected to your why. When you know why you're doing something, when you remind yourself daily of the bigger picture, it becomes impossible to quit. Your why will carry you through the struggles. Your why will keep you consistent, and your why will shape the environment you choose to build around you. And here's the challenge I want to leave you with. Don't just listen to these words and move on. Take action today. Write down your why. Define it clearly. Then build habits that keep you consistent and shape an environment that supports your growth. Because once you do that, motivation will no longer be something you chase. It will be something that follows you everywhere you go.